Hello and welcome again to another episode of DC808 on the Wire. As always, Chad Blair in our newsroom in Kaimuki, talking to our DC Bureau correspondent, Kerry Murakami. Hello, Kerry.
Aloha, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Can you tell us exactly where you are? This looks to be a new location for you.
I'm sitting in a phone booth in the Senate Press Gallery.
They have phone booths in the Senate Press Gallery?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They have these old style phone booths. There's actually no phone in here.
No phone in the phone booth.
No, but they have these because it's really competitive around here. And so what the reporters do is they go hide in the phone booths and do their phone calls on their cell phones, so that no one can hear what they're saying.
That's amazing. By pure coincidence, it is the 75th anniversary of the birthday of Superman. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I want to talk about the gun control legislation. Senator Reid, the majority leader, has now said that's off the table, no more, after all the votes this week, killing the background checks, the assault weapons ban, and so forth. Understandably, my understanding is that our delegation was very supportive of that legislation. What can you say about that?
I think it was very disappointing for a lot of gun control advocates. The last couple of weeks, we've seen the family members of the people who were killed in Newtown. They've been here lobbying and going from office to office. So it's been very, very emotional. Both of our senators voted for the expanded background checks. I mean, I think what's particularly disappointing for the gun control proponents, is that what failed was a watered down version of the original bills.
President Obama in the Rose Garden, Representative Gabby Giffords, who was shot in Arizona a couple of years ago, former representative, both, I think, using the word shameful, saying, 90% of the country wants this legislation passed. The last thing I want to talk to you about is something you've been covering very closely, another big issue in Washington, something that actually appears to be alive and moving through, and that's immigration reform.
There's one small thing that got put in the bill.
Oh yeah, what's that? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was a thing that the Senator Roney has been pushing, which would make it easier for some people from other countries to be able to go to Hawaii and other places for visits. And so for Canadian snowbirds, like people
Canadian snowbirds. This is an actual
not Canadian geese, but Canadian snowbirds.
Got it.
But for people who live in Canada and they're over 55 years old and they come, to the U.S. on visits, they wouldn't have to renew their visas quite as often.
Well, that's good. We'll welcome them here with open arms. Kerry, as always, good to speak with you. Big week in Washington, big week in the country. Thanks, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again next week on DC808 on the Wire.
You too, Chess. See you next week.
And for another installment of DC808 on the Wire, I'm Chad Blair. Thanks for tuning in. Aloha.